5. When they got together, Maria and Steph were cute as hell. Their relationship started with like 2 months of punk rock Christmas in New York, but honestly, at this point, Maria can't even remember it very well. They liked each other a lot. Steph showed Maria about kinky sex. Maria showed Steph about vegetarian cooking. A weird maybe breakup over vegan brunch this morning has Maria going over this in her mind, and reminiscing will always lead to reminiscing hard. On her way to the bagel store, Maria is thinking about being a teenager in Pennsylvania. Firstly, she was supposed to be a boy. She hadn't figured that out yet. Hadn't figured out yet that she wasn't one. She knew something was weird. She had long, stringy, terrible hair that she wouldn't let anyone cut. The insinuation of an eating disorder, which she certainly wasn't classifying as an eating disorder yet. As far as she could tell, she was a mostly straight boy who just didn't want to eat sometimes with a bottomless belly for drugs, or at least an interest in drugs if not an aptitude. She liked taking drugs, but she wasn't any good at it. She threw up a lot. People in New York take ecstasy or coke in big faux squalid converted lofts, a dozen stops out from the L or M trains, but where she grew up they took drugs on the nights they went camping out in the fields of friends' family farms. They used to take heroin too, do lines of it, but nobody in New York seems to. Maybe heroin is kind of 90s. She still misses it though. As far as Maria is concerned, snorting heroin and lying face down on the floor for 45 minutes is like the definition of awesome teenage irresponsibility. As far as she can remember, she never took heroin without throwing up from it. Anyway, she hadn't figured out she was trans. All she knew about trans people was all anybody knows about trans people before they start looking. That they are all psychos with big hair who trick straight men into having sex with them. On television. Gross. She just knew she felt weird. But literally every teenager feels weird. Who doesn't feel weird? All the music she listened to was about feeling weird. All the books she read were about feeling weird. So when she was 17, it didn't seem strange to hang out with, like, a kid who was really into racism and another future truck stop mechanic in a tent with a ton of flannel and a bottle of Everclear or a dozen hits of acid in a cow pasture. That was just like what you did. On one level, you just went along with what was going on, but on another, you mythologized what a cool outlier you were, so you internalized a sense of your own weirdness as a badge of pride, even as you emotionally dissociated yourself from it. Everybody cool is weird. This is how she mythologized her sense of being trans without understanding she was trans. Cowtown, Pennsylvania is a shithole in the middle of nowhere, but it's at the intersection of two roads that'll take you either to New York or the entirety of the West. There's nothing there. Like, there's a downtown, which is really a single block, with a bunch of old-timey shops, a 5 and 10, maybe 500 antique stores. The crown and glory of Cowtown is a mill that was built in the 18 something that's become a museum. Kids in patch pants sit out in front of the coffee shop on Main Street talking about how they're going to get out, how they're going to start a band, how they're going to start a band, or write like Kerouac and go on tour and move to the city. They play hacky sack. It's the kind of place where you'd expect meth, but Maria never really saw much. Sometimes she'd hang out at ye old downtown, drink coffee and talk shit too. But especially after this one weird old guy hobbyist stopped selling records out of his living room there, she mostly kicked it face down in a cornfield. Dude's record sucked anyways. He was a deadhead. Taking drugs on a farm actually still probably wouldn't feel all that weird to her now, even though she grew tits. But that's just because she carries all that around with her. Who doesn't? All the music we listen to is about carrying the past around with us. All the books we read are about carrying the past around with us. Whatever. She was she was good enough at school even though it wasn't a priority. The internet didn't make it to Cowtown until after high school, so even with her dirtbag friends, she felt pretty lonely. There was a Borders an hour away, and sometimes somebody would manage to get a zine onto their magazine rack. So she knew how. So she knew that there was more going on than classic rock radio and getting fucked up. She collected stranger zines and held on to anything she could find that told her there were things going on outside her own experience. The Church of the Subgenius, Sandman Comics, Maximum Rock and Roll, Alternative Rock, bizarre Canadian sketch comedy. Eventually, she went to college, hibernated drunk for 5 years, barely graduated, and moved to New York, where the guy on the bagel shop is calling to her. Yes, miss, he says. She answers automatically. A toasted onion bagel with sun-dried tomato soy cream cheese, lettuce, tomato, onion, salt, and pepper. She's not vegan, but she's vegan-ish. 6 years on, and it's still weird to be called miss. Not bad, just like, oh yeah, I guess I did that. Who knows whether that part of trans ever fades? Probably not. Or, more specifically, probably not when you still have to shave, when your junk still gets in the way and makes your clothes fit wrong every morning. It probably doesn't go away until you are rich. In order not in order not to have to shave every day, you have to give lots of money to a professional specialist who sticks electric needles into your face and kills the hair. It's super painful. It's also a lot more expensive to have bottom surgery than every cop show, quote, call the paper, the murderer is a dude plotline might have you believe. Maria feels resentful about it.